this is Mr. Apples here with the first ever custom card. Phelix the Phirst, very fitting name for our first card here. This is quite the fat card. Fat with a PH. I'm going to read this card out just in case you're listening to me and not watching the actual video. So Prince Phelix the Phirst, his mana cost is a green, a white, and a blue. He's a legendary creature. And his type is a Feldegriff Noble Ally. His power and toughness is 3. Alright, now to read the card text. Flying. Whenever another creature enters, you gain 1 life. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player creates a 1/1 blue Feldegriff Ally creature token with flying. At the very bottom, there is an activated ability, which is 2 and a blue. Gain control of target creature token with base power and toughness 1/1. So target creature token with base power toughness 1/1. Alright, so some things I want to point out with the actual text of the card. First off, this ability triggers on any creature entering, not just your own. So this includes your opponent's creatures. So when the second ability activates, whether it's activating for you or activating for your opponent, you're going to gain 1 life from that creature entering. At the very bottom, I want to point out that to target the creature and gain control of it with this ability, 2 things need to be true. It has to be a creature token, and it has to have base power and toughness 1/1. So no targeting non-token creatures, and no targeting token creatures with 3/3 or 4/4 or anything that is not 1/1. So, I'm going to go over some strategies that I see with the deck and give you some insight into the actual design. However, what's beautiful about Magic is a lot of times you can find synergies that the original designer didn't intend, or you can find synergies that the original designer didn't think of. So, you know, if you guys discover something that I didn't see, I think that's the beauty of it. Unless you find something broken, then we might have to redesign the card, but I digress. So I'm going to talk about my strategies with this deck, how I would build this deck. And I'm also not going to give you all the cards that I would put in it. I'm not going to give you an Architect or anything like that. I'm not going to give you a Moxfield link, because I think part of the fun of Magic is designing your own deck and building your own 99. I'll give you some things. I'll give you a slice of the cake, not the whole thing. Anyways, first thing we want to do with this deck is we want to have life gain. Mostly from creatures entering. There's a lot of options that we have for this. One such option is our Essence Warden, which states that whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Again, something that triggers on your opponent's creatures coming in and your creatures coming in. We have her beautiful sister here, who has the exact same ability, but in white. But because our commander is green, white, blue, you can play both of them in the deck. And we have their cousin, Soul's Attendant, which has a very similar ability, except that it is actually a May ability. So, unlike the other two, where you have to gain that life, with Soul's Attendant, you can choose whether you want to gain that life or not. It's usually a good idea to get it. Anyways, we also want to run Suture Priest here, because not only is it going to give us life when allies enter our battlefield, when we get our Feldegriff allies, but it'll also ping our opponents when they get their Feldegriff allies. And it'll also ping them for every creature they want to come in. So that's going to be pretty cool. Now, something that's important for every life gain deck, you also need life gain payoff. I'm just going to put this card there for example here. I think this one goes really good in this deck, because we also want to run a lot of mana rep, and I'll get to that in a second. And every time we gain a life, we can pay 1 and draw a card, which is pretty cool. But there's a lot of stuff with life gain. There's a lot of payoffs you can do. I'm just giving you the slice. I'm just giving you a nibble. You got to figure out the rest on your own. Now, strategy 2. You want to give our opponents 1/1s. Now, there's actually a lot of cards that can do this, believe it or not. 2 of which are the OG Feldegriffs. We have the original Fat Gangster here with our Feldegriff, and that's Fat with a PH, which has a green ability here, which allows it to put a hippo under an opponent's control. And the same thing with our questing Feldegriff here, which also has that same ability, or similar ability I should say. We pay a green, it gets +1/+1, and then we can put a 1/1 under our opponent's control. Now, what I'm going to have to show here with this slide is probably two of my favorite cards in Magic, because they're so janky, but so interesting. We have Hunted Phantasm, which when it enters, it gives one of our opponents 5 1/1s. So if we have even one Essence Warden on the field, or we have our commander on the field, you play Hunted Phantasm, you're going to gain 1 life from Hunted Phantasm entering, but then you're also going to gain another 5 life on top of that from your opponent's 5 1/1 goblins. And very similar thing here with Hunted Troll with the fairies that are coming in. Strategy 3, we need a lot of mana ramp. One of the benefits of this ability is it does not have a tap symbol, which means that as long as we have the mana to pay for it, we can activate as many times as we can. So, mana ramp's going to let us take advantage of that. And it's also going to be good for mana fixing because we're in 3 colors, so we need some decent fixing here. I think one of the cards that we really need in this deck absolutely is Mazari's Wake, which is 3 green white. It gives our creatures +1/+1, and it doubles the mana from whenever we tap land. Now here's the thing. We're also going to be playing a wide strategy because we're going to be stealing creatures from our opponents, and we're probably going to be running our own token generation too, or at least just playing creatures in general, having a little bit of a higher creature focus. So we're going to have a lot of creatures on our field, whether they be the 1/1s we stole from our opponents or our own little engines. So pumping them is good. And then we get the mana ramp on top of that. Now, the second thing here, I think this is a little bit of controversial, but I would also focus a lot of our ramp on creature dorks, just because that's also going to proc our commander and gain us life, whereas something like a Farseek or a Sky Shroud Claim might not. But that is a controversial take because of how good those ramp spells are. Alright, finally, let's talk a little bit about card advantage and interaction. Now, if you haven't checked out their channel yet, I would definitely recommend looking at Commander's Quarters. You know, like me being this really small channel, recommending this really large channel. Sounds weird, but they have a really good video on the OG Feldegriff and strategies with that would work well in this deck. I think you should check that out. And one of those cards that they talked about was borrowing 100,000 arrows, which allows us to draw a card for each tap creature target opponent controls. So you can play something that taps your opponent's creatures that you gave them. Like you play something like a Hunted Phantasm, you give them 5 1/1s, you play something that taps all those creatures. Now you play borrowing 100,000 arrows, and now you draw 5 cards plus whatever other creatures they have on the board. Azorius Predation is kind of weird to say. It's a board clear in green. What? But it's also going to give us a huge amount of 4/4s, which are then going to crash into our 1/1s that we gave the opponents. But then, for each of those 4/4s that are entering, we're going to gain another life on top of that, which is pretty dope. Now, Stroke of Midnight is a good removal spell we want to run in this deck because it gives our opponent a 1/1. And, you know, it's just a good removal spell in general. But now that that's a 1/1 that we put on the field, we can then steal that after the fact. Alright, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. This is Miss Raffles, signing out.